Shalom everyone, I would like to wish you from Eretz Israel, Eretz HaKodesh, תכתבו ותחתמו בספר חיים טובים, בספר פרנסה וכלכלה, בספר בריאות, בספר שלום, בספר מחילה, סליחה וכפרה, עליכם, על משפחתכם ועל כל עם ישראל.
אמן. With you, Rabbi, כל עם ישראל.
כל עם ישראל.
Amen.
Could you hear me clear?
Yes.
Okay, because I didn't know. Okay, today I decided to talk. Every year we are talking about this, but today just now, mamash, I didn't finish. You will see the color to upgrade the shiur for the last tefillah of Yom Kippur. You know that every Shabbat and every Yom Tov, we have 4 tefillot. We start in the night, Arvit, and then in the morning we have Shahrit Musaf, and then in the afternoon we have Minha. Right? That's 4. We have 4 tefillot. However, on Yom Kippur we have 5. That's the only day during the year that we have 5 tefillot. Which tefillah we have on Yom Kippur that we don't have any other holiday?
Na'ila.
Na'ila, very good. So you know what the word means, Na'ila?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Can
To
you
close.
translate? What?
To close.
To close. To close is lisgor. Okay.
Ne.
What?
Uh,
Do you know how we say in Hebrew locker? Lock. To lock. To lock the door.
מנעול.
לנעול את הדלת.
לנעול.
לנעול את הדלת. Okay? Do you know what the last, when you put your clothes on, which piece you put at the end of your clothing?
נעליים.
Na'alayim, very good. Na'al, you see, na'alayim, the shoes, is came from the word is conclusion, is to lock. Lock means to finish, like he said. So the word to be tefillah. So I would like also to mention, so that we have in our neshama 5 pieces. Remember, do you remember the names of the 5 pieces? Let me remind you. We have Naran Hai. Naran, Nun Resh Nun, is Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. Okay, these 3 pieces is built in. We have 2 more pieces for Neshama, is outside. It's like a halo around us. Okay, that's called Haya Yehida. So if you want to remember the 5, we call it Naran Hai. Naran Hai, Naran Nefesh Ruach Neshama, Hai, Haya Yehida. Haya Yehida is the most complicated, and most of the people, if not all of them, do not know even to explain what is Haya Yehida. But one thing I can tell you, it's not built in, as we said before, inside your system, is outside of the body. You know, but somebody has a light around him. Do you remember how we call it?
Halo.
Halo, right. That's called in Hebrew Hila. Halo, Hila. Okay, so you have Hila, listen, you have Hila up to here. Okay, up to here around me. There is light around me. That's called Haya. And there is Hila from the neck all the way to my top. That's Yehida. This is the highest one. This is the highest of all. It's called Yehida. So Tfilat Na'ila, every Tfilah during Yom Kippur is for 1 piece of the Neshama. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama is Arvit, Shahrit, Musaf. Haya is minha, and Na'ila is yehida. So Na'ila is absolutely something very unique. Today we will try to see the content of the tefillah of the Na'ila, and not only this is the content of the word Na'ul. What? I'm sorry?
I couldn't hear you. If you can repeat Yehidan.
Here, look at number 2, line 9. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Haya. V'achrona ve'elyona, and the last one and the top one, top of all, is Yehida. Line 10. You see the word Yehida? So the word Yehida is Tfilat Na'ila. So Tfilat Na'ila is parallel to the piece that called Yehida. Okay? I don't know if you remember just one more, just for illustration to understand what is Na'ila. Do you remember when sometimes you have a shidduch, we make a blind date between, young men and young women. And they love each other from the first glance, the first date. And the man is sure that this lady is going to be his wife. He loves her from the first time. And the lady also, she really into it, she loves him. And both of them has the feeling that they're going to get married. Okay, now listen. I don't say, but you ask them, boy, how was the date? So what he answers?
Great.
Great, okay. Great, perfecto, excelente, Ken? But I'll tell you how he said it in Hebrew slang. It says,
Metsuyan.
what?
Metsuyan.
Metsuyan, Ken, that translation. But let me give you the slang, the real slang. It says, Ani na'ul aleha. I am locked into her. Na'ul means like a locker, that's it. She is to me, we are locked. And you ask the girl, how you feel? He said, Ani na'ula alav. In English you said, I fell in love. But it says, I fell in love with him or I fell in love with her. He said, Ani na'ul aleha. Like that's it, it's sealed. Like hatima tova. It's sealed, she is mine. That's called, what we say to Hashem? We say to Hashem in Tfilat Na'ila, Anahnu na'ulim alecha. We are locked into you. We cannot be without you. And what Hashem is telling us? Ani na'ul alechem. I'm locked into you too. So the Na'ila is like engagement. It's engagement between Hashem and Am Israel. But remember what is engagement. You remember what is engagement? You know what's engagement in Hebrew?
Nisuim.
No, Nisuim is marriage.
Arusin.
Erusin, very good. What's the difference between Erusin and Nisuin?
They're not married yet.
Erusin, you remember how to say the word forbidden in Hebrew?
Asur.
Asur. Asur and Arus, engaged, is the same spelling. That means he engaged to her, but he is forbidden to touch her. She is not his wife yet. There's something with her. That's Erusin. So Yom Kippur is Erusin. You know what holiday after Yom Kippur? Sukkot, not Shana Rabbah. Shana Rabbah is after. Sukkot. You know what is Sukkah? Sukkah is the Huppah. The Sukkah is the Huppah, is the marriage. Is the Nisuin. But I want you to, to pay attention to the word Na'ila. So Na'ila, we are locked into Hashem, like we fell in love with Hashem, and Hashem locked into us, and we are one unit. Hashem and Am Israel is one unit, is one entity, not two, is one. Why I'm emphasizing to you one? Because if somebody is trying, Has v'Shalom, to destroy the Jewish nation, you know what he's trying to do?
Go against
Hashem.
He's trying to destroy Hashem. Perfectly. That's what Hitler, Yimach Shmo v'Zichro, that's what he thought. He didn't realize that we are one entity. You can kill one Jewish, you can kill 2 Jews, 3, 4, you can kill 6 million Jews. But you cannot destroy the Jewish nation as a nation. And that's people during the history, they learned this. Why? Because Am Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is one, not 2. One, remember this. We are into Hashem and Hashem is into us. That's Na'ul, Na'ila. In Tefillat Na'ila also, we say, if you remember, when we conclude the Tefillah 7 times, line 17, Hashem hu Elokim. Hashem hu Elokim. Hashem hu Elokim. 7 times. And then, you know, the Hazan say, and we repeat after him. Remember this? That's before we blow the shofar. And then after we say Hashem hu Elokim, we said Shema Israel, Hashem Elokenu, Hashem what? Ehad. One. The oneness of God is Am Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is one. Why we say Hashem hu Elokim? What is the difference between Hashem and Elokim? You said. So why we say Hashem hu Elokim? Okay. Why?
He is the same one.
What? Before you say it's the same one, tell me, okay, Martha said one is mercy, one is judgment. Hashem is Rahamim, Elokim is Din. But one more thing I want you to know, or to remember.
Everything good and bad is from Him.
No, that's the Din, that's Elokim. But I'm trying to tell you now, you know, sometimes Hashem appear to us as a miracle, as above nature. For instance, splitting the Red Sea is nature or above nature?
Above.
It's above nature. So it's Hashem or Elokim?
It's Hashem.
Hashem. Hashem is above nature. Okay? Elokim is nature. Do you remember what the gematria of Elokim?
26.
Martha, you remember?
26.
What did you say, Ruth?
26.
86.
86.
How do you say the nature in Hebrew? Nature?
Teva.
Okay, Ha-Teva. Not Teva. Ha-Teva is 86. So when you go outside in the street and you see the trees, you know, with green leaves, with beautiful fruits, you know, blossoming, you know what, that's Hashem, that's nature. But that's Elokim. But if you see something above nature, that's Hashem. So what mistake people might think? That Hashem is one God and Elokim is another God. So don't get confused. Hashem is God. Hashem hu Elokim is the same God. Sometimes he appears as judgment and sometimes he appears as mercy. Sometimes he's above nature and sometimes he is in the nature. But I want you to keep one more thing in your mind. When you go out to the yard or to the field or to the orchard and you see beautiful nature, that's nature or above nature?
Nature.
Nature, right? But if you don't see, if you don't see inside the nature, the above nature, I'm sorry what I'm saying now, you're blind. That means inside the nature, you have to see that's Ma'aseh Hashem. That's Hashem. You see the above nature inside. So Hashem, when you say in Yom Kippur, in the morning and in the Motzei Yom Kippur, Hashem Hu Elokim, I want you to think about this. In Slichot, also we say Hashem Hu Elokim. Hashem Hu Elokim. Sometimes it's judge, sometimes it's mercy, sometimes above nature, sometimes it's nature. Do you remember in Sefer Bereshit who is the first one say Shema Israel?
The son of Jacob.
Who?
The son
Yaakov?
of
Yaakov, nachon. When?
When he saw it,
When he saw with Yosef.
When he saw Bidyuk. When he saw Yosef. Do you remember when? When he saw Yosef? When he saw Yosef, it says he fell down on his neck and he kissed him. Rashi asked, who kissed whom? It says singular. He said that Yosef kissed his father because his father was in the time of Kriyat Shema, say Shema Israel. Now tell me, my friend, if this is the time of Shema, why Yosef didn't read Shema? Yosef is not Jewish person. Only Yaakov read Shema on time. So now, not only this, another... What?
He was happy that all the 12 Shabbatim are alive.
If you are happy, you say Shema Israel.
he wanted to thank Hashem first.
Shema Israel is Hashem. You can say thank you, Hashem. But I tell you what the difference. Why he said Shema Israel. Yaakov Avinu, he saw in his mind and his Ruach HaKodesh, he saw Yosef, all the story of Yosef, how the brothers wanted to kill him, how they put him in the pit, how he was in the house of Potiphar, how the wife of Potiphar, seduced him. And all this, tell me, when Yosef is in the pit, is Hashem or Elokim?
Elohim.
Elokim. When Yosef in the house of Potiphar, as Hashem or Elokim?
Hashem.
How? If the wife wants to sleep with him, it's Hashem or Elokim? It's Elokim. Not only this, she accused him. Now what happened to Yosef after she accused him? He was in jail. When he was in jail, you know how long he was in jail, innocent guy?
12 years.
12 years in jail. Tell me, it's Hashem or Elokim?
Elohim.
Elokim. Vadai is judgment. But when he became a king, is Hashem or Elokim? Is Hashem. So Yaakov Avinu, when he saw Yosef, he said, Shema Israel, Hashem Elokeinu. The one who put you in the pit, the one who put you in the jail, is the same God that put the crown on your head. Is the same one. Hashem Hua Elokim. Hashem Hua Elokim. That's the message that Yaakov is trying to tell us, because Shema Israel was not invented yet. The word Shema Israel. But the concept is clear. That Yaakov knows, now he's trying to teach us as his children, that sometimes Hashem appears as Elokim, and sometimes Hashem appears as Hashem. But we have to remember forever, Hashem is Elokim. Elokim is Hashem. That's why we said Shema Israel, Hashem Elokenu, Hashem Echad. That's what we say. Now, one more thing before I'll go now to the mamash, the essence of the shiur. I want to give you something on behalf of Rav Harlap. He said something else. Do you know what's so unique in Tfilat Na'ila? When you go to Bet Knesset, what's so unique in Tfilat Na'ila?
The doors of Shamayim are open.
What open?
The doors of the Shamayim are open. At that
What
time.
else is open? You know what open? What?
Our heart.
What else? Aron HaKodesh.
Aron HaKodesh, yes.
Aron HaKodesh is open, all Ne'ilah. That's the only tefillah you open Aron HaKodesh from the beginning to the end. Now listen carefully, my dear friends, what Rav Harlap says. When you see that the open Arona Kodesh, you try to go inside. I don't mean physically, mentally. You know, you meditate yourself, make meditation, and you try with your mind, mentally, to enter to Arona Kodesh. It's not easy. And if you are successful, and you feel that you are between Sifrei Torah, you are inside Arona Kodesh, you know what Rav Harlap says? All year, you are inside Arona Kodesh. If you're not going in...
But Rabbi, it's not allowed to be in the Aron Kodesh.
What is
it? It's physical.
I said clearly...
I know, it's mental. But
I said, you know, in your mind.
yes,
In
yes,
your mind. You know, we don't have Kodesh HaKodashim, but when we read the Kodesh HaKodashim, you know, in Musaf, in our mind we go into Kodesh HaKodashim. Nothing here is physically. But you meditate, you really concentrate, and you feel, you know, it's like if you are in Panama, and you have a house in Yerushalayim, and you daven, you pray in the Kotel, and you imagine to yourself, in your mind, you are near the Kotel. So you are mamash in the Kotel. If you close your eyes, and you imagine you are in the Kotel, you are in the Kotel. But here Rav Harlap says in Na'ila, try to enter to Arona Kodesh. If you enter your Arona Kodesh all year long, the Sifrei Torah protecting you. The Sifrei Torah around you protecting you wherever you go. But if you dreaming, or you think about the dinner, or the supper, or the ice cream, or whatever you're going to drink, you will not be able to go inside. So that's, by the way, that's a very strong message that every time before Na'ila I said to my congregant, you know, about this, try to go in. One time I said, try to go in, one of the children ran inside the Arona Kodesh physically. So,
How do we do that?
mental, I said, I gave you an example.
Yes,
When you are in,
yes.
many times, think about this, Alicia, many times, not only during Tefillah, you came from a trip or something, and it's still in your mind. You have very good experience in a specific place, and always you imagine to yourself you are there. You love the place so much. So they said, especially when you go on Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuot, if you go, you know what's going on tonight in I just came from Yerushalayim now. You know what's going on in the Kotel now? You will not believe. It's 20,000 people in the Kotel. Say Slihot. And they start, not now, they start after midnight. They start. And now they pray and this. It's amazing. If you're going through this experience, you're going home, there is no way you can leave the Kotel behind you. You're going home with the Kotel. That's the experience. And I said it's not easy. But you have to feel it in your heart. Somebody said before, when I said what's open, one of you said heart. You're right. Your heart should be open. Your mind should be open. And the ark is open. All what have to be to locked into one unit. So now, I want to know the story of the Akedah. Do you know when the Akedah happened? During the year.
And Kippur?
Rosh Hashanah.
Rosh Hashanah, we read about the Akedah. But you know when the Akedah happened? Akedah happened on Yom Kippur and Tfilat Na'ila.
Yes.
Yes. Tfilat Na'ila, when Abraham sacrificed the ram, the ayil, that was mamash the end of Minha. Okay? So now he said, and now I'm going to the first poem that we, the Sfaradim, the Ashkenazim do not say it, they have different poem, but everybody knows this poem. He says, you know, look what he says here. He says, El Nora Alila. Do you remember it by heart? El Nora Alila, El Nora Alila, Hamtsilanu Mehila, Bisha'at Na'ila. Very good. Now, I want to say, El Nora Alila. Now, another word. So, the word Na'ila, we learn already. So, the Akedah, by the word Na'ila is also Akedah. The meaning of the word Na'ila is to tie. To tie. And what Abraham did to Yitzhak, he tied him. That's called Akedah. Akedah is to tie. So the word Na'ila also is to tie. When you put your shoes, you tie your shoes. So that's called also in Hebrew to say tie or connect, kesher, likshor, connect. So we said, what is Alila now? Alila, I spoke to Martha before. Alila has many, sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. So Alila, do you remember what?
Sorry, is there any relationship that the Hakamim say between the Akedah and Tefillin?
Akedah and what?
And Tefillin?
I cannot hear what the other word you said.
Oh, one moment, I'll change the room. Between Akedah and Tefillin.
And Tefillin.
They're both tied.
Yeah, but I didn't see it, but the word tefillin is also, it says kesher, tefillin nira le'anav. It says also connection to this. But here what I'm saying on the word alila, it could be, as I said, negative and it could be positive. What is alila? Do you remember in the Middle Age time, the Goyim made up a story on the Jews that we are killing Christians, babies, Christians, and we use the blood to make matzah?
Yes, yes.
You know what he call it?
Yes.
That's called alilat dam. Alilat dam. They made up a story. We call it in Hebrew. It's not Hebrew. It's really Latin. In English, it's called conspiracy. It's conspiracy. They made up a story just to accuse us that we are doing something that we never did. By the way, until today, they say the same thing. So, but it says it's called conspiracy. That's one alila. Alilat dam is a story. It's a fake story. Never happened. Okay? It's a plot. But the plot, P-L-O-T, plot, it could be true sometimes. But sometimes it's fiction. So here I'm talking the plot that is a complete fake. Okay? So now we say to Hashem, El Nora Alila. What is El Nora Alila? You made up a story on us. It's Alila. We say to Hashem, you made up a story. Why you brought us to Egypt? Do you know why we are in Egypt? Why we are in Egypt? Do you know why? What punishment? What sin we have done? Because not because of Egel Zav, because of whom? Because of Yosef. Because the brother sold Yosef. So now we say to Hashem, it cannot be true. It's Alila. Why it cannot be true? Do you remember the Brit Ben Abtarim? Brit Ben Abtarim is the covenant between Hashem and Abraham. When Hashem made the Brit Ben Abtarim with Abraham, Yitzhak was not even born yet. And Yitzhak is the grandfather of Yosef. But look what Hashem said to Abraham, line 16. ויאמר לאברהם, ידוע תדע כי גר יהיה זרעך בארץ לא להם ועבדום ועינו אותם 400 שנה. So when Hashem said to Abraham, be gone be slaves for 400 years, in the Brit Ben Abtarim, Yitzhak was not born yet. We say to Hashem, how is it possible that you said because of Yosef? Yosef was not born yet. His grandfather was not born yet. It's a fake. Ba'alila taba'alenu. You made up a story on us. Wow. That's chutzpah, no? But we say to Hashem, Ribono shel olam, we know why you brought us to Egypt. You wanted us to take care of the world and to take responsibility on the world and to show to everybody who is Hashem. We know it, but we don't have any problem with this. But why you make up a story? This is not a true story about Yosef. It cannot be true. Okay, that's what he said. By the way, the positive, that's negative about Alila. Do you remember the pasuk? We said to why we went out to Egypt. He said, "Leman tesaper bozne bincha uven bincha et asher it'alalti b'Mitzrayim." The word "lit'alel" is also to take somebody and torture him. You torture him and you enjoy the pain. You know how we call to this person?
Sadist.
How?
A masochist.
No, massacre is the one who enjoyed to hurt himself.
Sadista.
Yeah, it's sadist. You know the word sadism? Sadist means, you know,
Yes.
he said, you know, so the alila, litalel, when somebody like bullying, you know, in the school, sometimes they take a child and they really bullying him. That's called the mitalelimbo. So he said, Hashem said to us to remember Egypt. We have to remember Hashem, that he tortured the Egyptian. Is it possible? Do you remember what Hashem said in the Red Sea when we started to sing? When we started to sing, who stopped us?
Hashem said we should not celebrate that they're killing his creatures.
So you see, it's contradiction. How could be, on one side he said, how could you sing? Even the Egyptian, it's my creation. You cannot sing when you see the Egyptians sinking in the water. But on the other side, he said, I want you to tell your children and grandchildren, Et asher it'alalti b'Mitzrayim. Now I'll give you, no, it'alalti is not only torturing. It's a beautiful words. And I hope you remember it. You know, in Patah Eliyahu, I don't know if you know, but the Halabim say it on Shiv'ah, on Avelut. You know, when the Rav come, he said Patah Eliyahu. In Patah Eliyahu, we call him Ilah. Right now we are in a shi'ur, right? We all together studying together. That's called Ilah. But who caused us to be together? Hashem. So if we are Ilah, so Hashem is Ilah Ta'ilot. You know what is Ilah Ta'ilot? The top of the top of the top. That's called Ilah Ta'ilot. You know how many in the world we have Ilah Ta'ilot? How many? How many people got the adjective, the title Ilah Ta'ilot?
No idea, Rabbi.
Moshe Rabbeinu.
Has v'shalom.
Perdón.
One. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ilah Ta'ilot is only one. No one Ilah Ta'ilot. Okay? But what Paro is teaching the Egyptian? Who is Ilah Ta'ilot?
He thinks he is.
He thinks? He's sure he is. And the Egyptian believe him. So he said to us, I want you to teach your children that I taught the Egyptian who is Ilah Ta'ilot. It's not Paro, it's me. That's what the mitzvah we have to teach our children. Not Has v'Shalom that Hashem tortured the Egyptian. That's not the meaning. The meaning Ilah Ta'ilot, in another word, do you remember when he said Hashem is the only one? En od milvado. En od milvado. Remember this concept. En od milvado is only him Ilah Ta'ilot v'sibat sibot. He is the only one. By the way, do you know what we say after Shmona Esrei? On Aseret Yemei Tshuva, in Yom Kippur, after Shmona Esrei, you know what we say?
El Melech, no.
No.
Avinu Malkenu?
Ma what?
Avinu Malkenu.
Avinu Malkenu. Do you know how many Avinu Malkenu we have?
No, I never count them.
I tell you how my father used to trick us. He said, oh, tell me, whoever will tell me how many Avinu Malkenu will get a prize. Everybody took the Siddur. We start, one say 25, one say 26, 24. What? Everybody said different number. Hashem, my father said, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Say, Abba, look, count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're counting. You know, my father said, you know how many Avinu Malkenu we have? 1. One Avinu Malkenu. So he said, it's Ilat Ailot. So he said, Ilat Ailot. Huh?
That's a good one.
It's a good one, huh? You see, I never forget this. I was 5 years old, 6 years
I
old.
will ask it for my grandson.
So we said to Hashem, you know, it's Alila. You made up a story. So when you take the word Alila, is a fake story, it's conspiracy. You made conspiracy on us. But you know what? If you did, you did. You know what you're doing. Hamtzi lanu mehila. At least, El Nora Alila, El Nora Alila. Hamtzi lanu mehila. What is mehila?
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Okay, today you will learn something else. This is the key word for our shi'ur today, mehila. You know, on Yom Kippur, we have 3 words for forgiveness. Look at line 28. Mehila, sliha, v'chapara. Nachon? 3 words that express forgiveness. But the word sliha v'chapara, we found out many times in the text. But you will never find in the text the word mehila as forgiveness. In the Torah. In the Tanakh. Only sliha and kapara. So you see that the word mehila is a very unique word. Where is it coming from? Today, by the way, if you ask, you know, your husband asking from you on Erev Yom Kippur, would you forgive me for all I did for you? What I did to you? What you tell him?
I forgive you for sure.
You know what he said? What you have to say? Mahul. 3 times. You have to say mahul, mahul, mahul. So the word mahul means is complete forgiveness. Mahul. Deleted. So, but now, where is it coming from? If we don't have the word mehila in the Tanakh, where is it coming from? That's what I would like to study with you. But kapara and sliha, we know kapara, forgiveness, Yom Kippur, you know, sliha, forgiveness. So, where is it? Let's go ahead. Ahenu bnei Ashkenaz, you know, they have beautiful tefillah before Musaf. The Hazan, before Musaf, he has this special tefillah. He said to Hashem, the Hazan, asking Hashem, please help me to pray. They appointed me as a messenger. So give me a help and strength to give you a good tefillah. Because I'm not only praying for myself, I'm praying for the entire congregation. I'm praying for the entire Am Israel. Please help me. Now listen, line 8. You have line 8? Who is, if I ask you now immediately without thinking a lot, who is the one that knew how to pray the best in our history?
Moshe Rabbeinu.
Moshe Rabbeinu. Of course, Moshe Rabbeinu. He is the expert one. Now, do you remember Martha, who is the worst one? Who used to worship idol 24/7?
Laban.
Menashe.
Who said Menashe?
Esther.
Esther. Do you know who is Menashe?
The
Who?
son of Hiskiyahu or something.
Very good, Esther. Excelente. Wow. You remember, you have a good memory. But you know, Hizkiah Melech, he refused to get married. You know who rebuked him? Yeshayahu Navi. Yeshayahu Navi said, why you don't get married? He said, I see in Ruach HaKodesh that I will have criminal children, sinners. He said, who you are to make decision? You have a mitzvah to get married and to bring children. So you know what Hizkiah said to Yeshayahu?
They married their kids.
He
Give
said,
him her
"Gi-
sister, right?
give me, no, your daughter.
Your daughter.
Give me your daughter. Your sister is Rabbi Yohanan and Resh Lakish. Said, give me your daughter. If you give me your daughter, maybe because you are a tzaddik, maybe you protect my children. But eventually, he got married, and he got two really, really bad children. One of them is Menashe. You know who is the other one? The other one is Rav Shakeh, that he converted to Islamic and he became the foreign minister of Sanherib, the king of Ashur. When king of Ashur came to destroy Yerushalayim, he sent always Rav Shakeh to speak to us in Hebrew, to give up. So look, these two children, Menashe and Rav Shakeh, they are the children of Hizkiah Melech. You know who's Hizkiah Melech? Hizkiah Melech is the one who should be the Mashiach. He was the one who's supposed to be the Mashiach. And he got two criminals. Menashe used to work. One more thing, two more points I want to tell you about Menashe. How bad he was. Number one, he murdered. You know who did he murder?
No.
He murdered his grandfather. He murdered Yeshayahu the prophet.
Wow.
Menashe murdered his grandfather. It's amazing. It's one shiur. I'll tell you what happened. This is too Kabbalistic, but unbelievable. Just to show you, I wanted to show how evil he was. He was mamash evil, Menashe. That's Menashe. Number two, Menashe, beside killing them, he used to worship idols 24/7. 24/7. And everybody knew that Menashe is evil. Everybody knew. But he was for 52 years, he was a king. Not 2 days. For many, everybody, Menashe was a very strong king. And let me tell you one. So after he died, in the time of the Talmud, in Masechet Sanhedrin, page 102, Rav Ashe, he was the Rosh Yeshiva. So then they didn't have Gemarot, like today, everybody has a book. So before they go home, the Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Ashe, used to say to his students, tomorrow we're going to learn about this subject. So he told them, tomorrow we're going to learn about our friend Menashe. You know what he called him, our friend? Sarcastic. Yes, means to make barbecue on him. Tomorrow we're going, to roast Menashe, to show how bad he is. If you remember the story, I told you, I think, few times the story, but this is something I want you to remember. It's so important. In the night, Menashe appeared to Rav Ashe in the dream. Menashe said to Rav Ashe, you called me your friend? I'm not your friend. I'm not your friend of your father. Why are you calling me my friend? Why are you calling him? So Rav Ashe didn't know what to answer. But Menashe wanted to show Rav Ashe how bad he is. He asked him, I have a question for you, halacha question. Do you remember what halacha question he asked him?
No.
He asked, when you make a motzi, where do you take the bread from? From the challah. When you have the challah, you make a motzi, right? Where do you take the first piece?
Where it's more burnt.
You know the answer, but Rav Ashe didn't know the answer. So he said, you don't know how to make a motzi and you calling me your friend? And he wanted to leave. So Rav Ashe said to Menashe, please look what. He didn't care about, the mistake he didn't know. Tell me the halacha, what? And I promised you, tomorrow in the shiur, I'll give the halacha on behalf of you. But give me the halacha. And then he said, when the piece that is really well done in the challah, it says Reshit tevuato, Reshit, the beginning, when it starts to be cooked, that's the piece you make a motzi. And that's the story it shows. So you know what Rav Ashe asked Menashe? He said, Menashe, you're such a scholar. You're such a Talmid Chacham. Why are you worshipping idols? You know what Menashe answered to him?
If you were in our time, you will also be worshiping idols.
He said, if you would be on my time, you will run to worship idols and you lift up your dress, that you will not delay. They were so, now for us it's so hard to understand. You know why it's hard to understand? The people were addicted to Avodah Zarah. Addicted to Avodah Zarah. But you know why we don't have the addiction today? Why?
Because Hashem take the Avodah Zarah out of this world.
Bidiyuk, exactly. Hashem took the Yetzer Hara of Avodah Zarah. There is no Yetzer Hara of Avodah Zarah.
And the Nevi'im also, the Nevi'im.
Yeah. But, however, the Yetzer Hara for relationship between men and women, for sex, it's still Yetzer Hara is working. That's why only you could understand if somebody give you a fable, about men that addicted to women, you could understand. But you can understand how you are addicted to worship idols. That's why Menashe said, you don't understand how the addiction was. We were addicted. Okay, so now we know that Menashe is really evil and bad. So look what the Hazan is praying. He said to Hashem, line 8. You have line 8? He said, "V'tahtor tahat kiseh kevodecha." I want you to dig in under your throne. כמו שחתרת לתפילת Moshe, exactly as you dug to the prayer of Moshe. And what says in parentheses? Menashe. He said, the Hazan asked him, Hashem, I want you to help me to make the tefillah like Tfilat Moshe, I can understand. But he said, help me to be like Menashe. To be like Menashe? Menashe? The evil guy? What is the meaning? Tfilat Moshe and Menashe. So now, let's see now what happened with Moshe, and then we'll see what happened with Menashe. What is the common denominator between Moshe and Menashe? How could we mention these two names on one breath? This is day and night. Day and night. Menashe is the antithesis of Moshe. How is it possible? Let's see. Do you remember what was the worst sin that the Jewish people did? I'm sure you remember. So when Hashem really forgive him?
On Yom Kippur.
On Yom Kippur, where? In Tel Aviv, in Yerushalayim, where?
No, in...
Give me the location.
Sinai.
Where?
Har HaMoriah.
No.
Har Nevo. No.
No, Har Nevo, he died.
No. Har... ¿Dónde murió?
You will not, I'm sure you remember. But he said to him, in Luke line 21, ויאמר אדוני הנה מקום איתי וניצבת על הצור. You know what is tzur? Tzur is a rock. I want to meet you to meet me near the rock. You ever knew that? Not only this. By the way, did you take a tour in Eretz Israel, by the way? I'm sure you did.
Yes.
Do you remember in the north, we have a cable there, like Metzada? Somebody took the cable in the north? North of Israel.
Yes,
Haifa.
yes.
Not in Haifa, north. Up north. Norther than Haifa. I'll give you the name of the place. Tell me if you remember this place. It's called Rosh HaNikra.
Yes.
Yes? Rosh HaNikra is the top with the border.
Between Lebanon, no?
Bidiyuk, exactly. Is they say, it's the border between Lebanon and Israel. And there is a cable over there to see the view. It's a beautiful view. By the way, you know why we call it Rosh HaNikra? Nikra is in Hebrew, if you have a rock If you have a rock and you put drop of water, it's very hard to dig into the rock. But if you have drop after drop after drop after drop, what will happen at the end?
It will open a hole.
Ah, yes. You know how you call to this hole? Nikra.
Nikra?
Yeah.
If you went to Rosh Nikra, you will see many holes. By the way, do you know how Rabbi
Akiva,
What?
Rabbi Akiva.
Very good. Say it, Esther. I want everybody to hear you.
No, that
Yes,
Rabbi
yes.
he didn't know anything.
No?
But he said that studying like the rock, if one drop and another, you can open like this, then you can open your mind to Torah and learn.
Yes. More than this, Esther. He said, Kal vachomer. How much and more so? He said, if the drop of water can make a hole on a rock, so what the Torah will do to my heart? So he came to conclusion, it's Kal vachomer. Kal vachomer means, how much and more so. So that's called Nikra. In English, I think the word Nikra is Burrow. You know this word?
Yes, borrow. Where the animals open their holes.
Yes, that's burrow. That's Nikra. That's Nikra, burrow. He said, that's what he said, I want you to meet with me. Look here, line 22. והיה בעבור כבודי ושמתיך, where? בנקרת הצור. In the hole, dig into the rock. Inside. Now, you ready for cappuccino in the house? Ready? Ruth, you ready? Give me another word in Hebrew for nikra. Now we say nikra. By the way, in English, it could be burrow, it could be tunnel. Also, tunnel. I want you to tell me now another word for nikra in Hebrew. I don't give cappuccino for nothing. You know what to call it? It's not fair if you don't know Hebrew. Even the Israelis, when I ask them, it's very hard to say, but it's easier. You know how you call it? When you have a tunnel under the surface, make a hole under the ground. That's called tunnel, right?
Me'ara.
Me'ara is a cave. But I'm talking when you make a tunnel that you have opening in the beginning and opening at the end. That you go through the tunnel. Huh?
In New York, it would be the subway.
Nachon, yes. But I'll tell you what. It's called in Hebrew, Mehila.
Wow.
Mehila.
Mehila.
El Nora Alila.
Now you learn a new word in Hebrew that many Israelis don't know even. The word Mehila is a tunnel under the surface. When he said, I want you to meet me benikrat atzur, means the Mehila of the tzur. And now he said to Moshe, I know what is your mistake. Your mistake is that you think everything is because of Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov. It's called Zchut Avot. What about if Zchut Avot is filled in and we used it? What we do? Who will protect us? Do you know who protect us? Hashem said to Moshe, I will teach you tefillah. That every time I promise to you, you say this tefillah, I'll forgive you. Even without the zchut. What?
The 13 attributes of Hashem.
Very good. Very good. How to say it in Hebrew? 13 midot. 13 midot. Hashem. By the way, Hashem is introduction. Is not part of the 13. We said Hashem, comma, Hashem. You know why you have to make a comma, space? Pause. Don't say Hashem together. Hashem. רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד האמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון הפשע וחטאה ונקה.
benake.
13. Do you know why I have to pause? I'm telling you now, I hope, my dear friends, I'm teaching you, you know now that I hope, Be'ezrat Hashem, you remember to do it on Yom Kippur. But now, when we say to Hashem, before we make a sin, Hashem will treat us as Hashem or as Elokim? Before we make the sin.
Elokim. Elokim.
Before the sin.
For the sin, no.
Before the sin, Elohim.
Hashem.
Huh? Before the sin. After the sin is Elokim, is the din.
Yes.
Hashem is Rahamim. If I don't make the sin, why Elokim? It must be Hashem. So I say Hashem, comma, it's before the sin. Don't change your name to Elokim after the sin. Judge me as Hashem even after the sin. Is it clear? So one Hashem is before the sin, and the second Hashem is after the sin. Many people, they say Hashem, Hashem together without pausing in the middle, which is completely wrong. You look at the Siddur, you will see a space, you will see a comma, you see a line between Hashem, Hashem. When he said Hashem, Hashem, 2 dots. Now it starts 13 attribute, 13 midot. רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד באמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ושע וחטא ונקה. So Hashem said to Moshe, when you are stuck and you use all the rights, the benefit of your forefathers, use this tefillah. So the main thing, Rabotai, in Yom Kippur, when you pray, is not only Shahrit and Musaf and Na'ila, it's 13 attributes, 13 midot. That's the highlight. That's the peak of the tefillah. Here, look. So, is it clear so far? My dear friend, you have any question, or is that I can go ahead?
It's clear.
Okay. So now after this, ויאמר השם הנה מקום איתי, line 4, וניצבת על הצור. So remember, it's not הר המוריה. I want you to be near the rock. אמר רבי יוסי ברבי חנינא, הנה אנוכי במקום הזה, אין כתיב כאן, אלא מקום איתי אתרי תפלה, I'll explain, ואין אני תפל לאתרי ואסיר אותי כפי. אמר לו הקדוש ברוך הוא, עכשיו השם said to Moshe, this is what you need to know. line 6, אני מראה לך מתן שכרם של צדיקים, שאני עתיד לתת להם באחרית הימים. I'm going to show you now all the rewards that I keep for tzaddikim in the future. Wow. Moshe is going to see now all the rewards that Hashem is going to give tzaddikim. אמר רבי יעשה, הסעודה של גן עדן ראו נביאים ומתן שכרם לא ראו. שנאמר עין לא ראתה אלוהים זולתך יעשה למחכה לך. וכן דוד אמר, מה רב טובך אשר צפנת על יראיך? מה כתיב למעלה? ויאמר אני אעביר כל טובי על פניך מידת הטוב ומידת הפורענות. וחנותי את אשר הרחון. Now, all this what I read, he said even David HaMelech did not know what Hashem is hiding for tzaddikim. Even the Nevi'im didn't know. But Hashem said to Moshe, I'm going to show you. What he says, look, באותה שעה, line 10, you have line 10? The same times, הראה לו הקדוש ברוך הוא את כל האוצרות. You know what is אוצר? אוצר is treasure. Hashem showed him all the treasures של מתן שכרם שמתוקנים לצדיקים, that he is going to keep for צדיקים. והוא אמר, האוצר הזה של מי הוא? הוא אומר, משה received pile of treasure. He said, who is going to get this pile? הוא אומר, עושה מצוות. People who make mitzvot will get from this pile. And he see another pile. He said, והאוצר הזה של מי הוא? Oh, this אוצר is people who support orphans' children. And then he went pile and after pile and after pile. Every pile for specific mitzvah. One pile for honoring your parents, one pile for tzedakah, one pile for orphans. And now listen, line 12. You see red and yellow? ואחר כך ראה אוצר גדול. And then he saw not pile, a giant, like a mountain. Big, big, big treasure. אמר, האוצר הזה של מי הוא? משה asked Hashem, who is going to get this treasure? אמר לו, מי שיש לו, אני נותן לו מסחרו. If a tzaddik has, you know, he did and he deserved to get, I give him from his own mitzvot. ומי שאין לו, if somebody doesn't have any credit, אני עושה לו חינם. You know what he said? I give him for free. חינם. ונותן לו מזה. And I give him, that mean even רשעים. Hashem gave a pile for them. שנאמר, וחנותי את אשר אחון. וחנות למי שאני מבקש לחון. What is וחנותי? How do we say free, no charge in Hebrew?
חינם.
חינם. וחנותי את אשר אחון. כן? What he said? He said, ברוך אתה השם. What the first bracha? We say in 18, after האל הקדוש. ברוך אתה השם, חונן הדעת. חונן, חינם. Give me free. Give me IQ. Give me sechel. But Hanoti is free. Wow. That means Hashem discovered a big secret to Moshe. And he showed him all the piles. And then he gave me, see the 13 attributes, the 13 midot. And he taught him, you know, and he taught him the formula. He gave him the formula how to pray. How much we have to be very, very careful. And Moshe used this prayer 40 days and 40 nights. On Yom Kippur, Hashem really accepted the tefillah and he gave forgiveness to Am Israel. Now, my dear friend, I'm going to Menashe. Okay, so Moshe, so remember the spot? Where did he meet Hashem? Do you remember where?
נקרא
Next to the rock.
In the rock.
In the rock. Do you remember what? Where in the rock?
נקרא
Nikra. Give me another word for Nikra.
Mehila.
Mehila. Okay. Remember Mehila. Now, I'm going now to Menashe. Menashe, you have two books to tell about him. One Divrei Hayamim, one the book of Melachim. Ben 12 שנה Menashe במולכו. He was 12 years, he was only 12 years, he was under bar mitzvah when he became a king. And he was 55 שנה, he was 55 years king in Yerushalayim. ויעש הרע בעיני Hashem. And he made evilness to Hashem, as I told you. And he worshipped idols, and he did so bad. And I told you he killed his grandfather, and he sacrificed many children. You know what you're not allowed to do. Everything you can think of, Menashe did. Everything bad, Menashe did. So what Hashem punished him? ויתע מנשה את יהודה ויושבי ירושלים לעשות רע מן הגויים, אשר השמיד. So Hashem punished him. Line 9. ויבוא אדוני עליהם את שרי הצבא למלך אשור. The king of Ashur came, וילכדו את מנשה בחוכים. They took Menashe and they tied him, you know, with chain, but hot chain. ויעשרהו בנחושתיים ויוליכהו בבלה. And he took him to Babel. And now over there they tortured him. They tortured Menashe with hot, not water, not boiled water, boiled copper. You know what is boiled copper? They tortured him. Really tortured him. Now, what Menashe did, what you do when you are in big trouble?
You pray.
To whom?
Pray
To whom?
Hashem.
To Hashem, but he didn't believe in Hashem. So now, what Menashe did? Okay, but look at it, when you are in trouble, and you grew up with Hizkiyahu, so look line 13, ויתפלל אליו ויעתר, וחצר לו חילה את פני Hashem. When he was really in trouble, he faced to Hashem. And he really said to Hashem, please. You know what he said to Hashem? He said to Hashem, I'll make a deal with you. You know, my father taught me one thing. It says, Batzar lecha umtzaucha. When you're in trouble, even sword on your neck, pray to Hashem. Now, the sword on my neck, I'm going to die. So if you listen to me and you save me, you are real God. If not, you are just like all the idols that I pray for. What do you think about this tshuva?
Chutzpah.
Chutzpah. He said, he gave condition to Hashem. He said, if you do accept my tefillah, you real Hashem. If not, you just like piece of idol. That's real chutzpah. Yirmiyahu was very upset with this tshuva. But the question is, you know, Hashem accepted or not the tefillah?
I think yes.
Yes.
Look here. So the angel said to Hashem, Hashem, don't tell us you're going to accept his tshuva. Look at line 6. וגם דקנקי שפך, he killed his grandfather. He worshipped idols. He killed people. You cannot accept his tshuva. Look here what he says. Line 18. הרג את ישעיהו. He killed Yeshayahu. Yeshayahu was equal to Moshe Rabbeinu. He was mamash in the madriga of Moshe Rabbeinu. It says, פה אל פה אדבר בו. He spoke to him mouth to mouth, face to face. So now, so what do you think? You know, the angels, the Malachei Sharet, look. Line 25 at the end. I skip because of timing. והיו מלאכי השרת מסתמים את החלונות. They close the windows. You know why they close the windows? That Hashem will not accept even through the windows the tshuva. שלא תעלה תפילתו של מנשה לפני הקדוש ברוך הוא. They didn't want the tefillah to go up all the way to Hashem. והיו מלאכי השרת אומרים לפני הקדוש ברוך הוא, and the angel said to Hashem, ריבונו של עולם, אדם שעבד עבודה זרה, a man that worship idols 24/7, העמיד צלם בהיכל, he put idols in the בית המקדש. Are you going to accept his tshuva? You know what the answer of Hashem? אם אינם יקבלו, line 28, בתשובה, הרי אני נועל את הדלת בפני כל בעלי תשובה. Remember the name of the תפילה? נעילה.
נעילה.
If now, my dear friend, if I'm coming to your house, and you do not want me in your house, and you lock the door, and somebody you don't want to go inside your house, so what other people will do? We never come to your house. He said, they lock the door. Hashem said, if I will lock the door to him, what all the sinners will do? So everybody said, Hashem don't accept tshuva. He said, I have to accept his tshuva. It was a big argument between the angels and Hashem. Hashem said, I don't want to kill people. I want people to make tshuva. Even Menashe can make tshuva. You know what, Hashem? Now they close the windows. They close the ceiling. They don't have any opening. How Hashem? So what Hashem did?
He accepts his teshuvah.
But what he did, everything is closed.
נקרא?
Oh! Look, line 28. מה עשה לו הקדוש ברוך הוא? חתר לו חתירה מתחת כיסא הכבוד. He dug in under his throne, the tunnel. ושמע תחינתו. Is it remind you Moshe Rabbeinu? What he said to Moshe? Make a tunnel to the rock. And he said to Menashe, he dug in the tunnel, under the tunnel. He dug in, under the throne of God. By the way, if you have a Sidur, a Sephardic Sidur especially, when he said, which bracha in Shmona Esrei we said tshuva and tshuva. Do you know which bracha? Do you remember?
סלח לנו.
Slach lanu is forgiveness. What? A tshuva.
עשה לנו תשובה.
השיבנו אבינו לתורתך, וקרבנו מלכנו לעבודתך, והחזירנו בתשובה שלמה לפניך. ברוך אתה השם רוצה בתשובה. Do you know what you see in parentheses there? I'll tell you, not every Sidur. Try to find in the Sidurim, some Sidurim you will find, Hashem, please, dig in under your throne a tunnel that all the criminals of the Jews, so I don't pray only for myself, I pray for me and all the criminals. He said, make a tunnel, make hatira, mehila, that everybody can go to you. And then, Baruch atah Hashem harotzeh b'tshuva. If you accepted the tshuva of Menashe, you can accept everyone, make tshuva. But it is interesting, I never understood where the Chachamim put this in the Siddur until I saw this Midrash. Now I understand what he said. And he said, Vayitpalel elav. So Hashem made a tunnel, mehila. Vaye'ater lo. And Hashem accepted him. Vayishma tchinato. And he listened to him, to his tefillah. Vayishiveh, when he returned him. Vayeda Menashe ki Hashem hu Elohim. Menashe realized that Hashem is God. So it's not seven. He says 7 times Hashem hu Elohim is the words of Menashe. באותה שעה אמר מנשה, it din ve'it dayan. You know what is it din ve'it dayan? There is a judgment in this world and there is a judge in this world. Means now he accepted Hashem as ilat ha'ilot ve'sibat ha'sibot. That's what Menashe. So he said, here you see the word mehilot as I say, burrow, tunnel. All this when I skip, I explained to you already. I just would like to conclude. At the end, you know, he said mehila, sliha, vechapara. Remember? What the difference between sliha and mehila? Sliha, he said sliha, slach lanu avinu ki hatanu, mehal lanu malkenu ki fasha'nu. Remember this sentence? Slach lanu avinu ki hatanu. Mehol lanu avinu ki pasha'nu. So in order to understand the difference between sliha and mehila, you have to know the difference between het and pesha. How you translate the word het? Sin.
Sin.
How you translate the word pesha? Crime.
Yeah.
Crime. What the difference between sin and a crime? Let me explain to you the difference. Huh?
The crime is
Did you ever?
purposely.
What? Did you ever, when you were little kids, do you remember you played with arrow to the target? Remember we have a chart, you know, big chart, and the arrow should be in the middle. Remember? What if you missed the main target by 1 inch? You know what he says?
No.
Ehtati. Het is to miss the point. Het, you miss the point. It doesn't happen every time. I missed it 1 time. So when we say sliha, slach lanu avinu kehatanu, the sliha is going, you know, for 1 time shot. 1 time. It's not every day. But you know what is pesha? Pesha, when you do it every day, the same sin. Is not missing. You do it purposely. If you do so, you remember that. So remember the difference between het and pesha. Het is when you miss something. It's 1 time. It happened. Everybody can goof 1 time. That's called you missed it. So we said, okay, sliha, sliha, not big deal. But pesha, when you do the same thing over and over and over again. If somebody is not shomer Shabbat, every Shabbat he is making, you know, hilul Shabbat. Is het or pesha? The pesha. Yeah, but if 1 time you got mixed up between parve and dairy or something, you know, you missed it. You missed it by mistake. So that's sliha. So we said mehila is really on pesha. That's why when you go on pesha, you need to dig under the surface. You need to make a mehila. So the word mehila is not coming from forgiveness. Mehila is coming from the word tunnel. It's coming from under what? when you dig in, tell me now, when you pray to Hashem and you ask really Mehila, who is connect to Hashem?
Our neshama.
What happened between your neshama and Hashem? You know what? You remember what we learned? Between 2 points, what you have?
A line, a straight line.
A straight line. You know what we call to this straight line today? Mehila. That's a tunnel. That's a tunnel. You don't have to go to anything. You can pray. You make a tunnel. The moment you make a line between you and Hashem, he said, please, Mehala, you know I am a criminal. Every day I do the same mistake. Please. He said, okay, make Mehila. Go under the throne of God. When you make the Mehila, you know what Hashem is doing? Not only you make the Mehila, not only you dig in, Hashem will dig in from the other side. When Hashem dig from the other side, and you digging from one side, you know what happened? They will meet each other. Hashem and us will meet each other. That's Mehila. Remember what Kaveh El Hashem? Remember we took the word Kaveh? How you split it to 2 words? What is Kaveh? Kav Hashem. Line to Hashem. That's Mehila. Now, I would like to conclude. If you follow now the last, 2 minutes, this is the more important than all the shiur. All this shiur was introduction to the conclusion of Tfilat Na'ila. Tfilat Na'ila, we said Hashem, El Nora Alila, Hamtzi lanu Mehila, Bisha'at Na'ila. Okay, you locked into us, we locked into you, but please now, please help us, because when you have a big mountain, and you go to the other side, what you do to go to the other side?
You climb it first and then go down.
You know what you do? Mehila.
Mehila.
You know what is Congo? You ever heard the word Congo? Or D9? You know what is D9? Congo is a special tractor, bulldozer, that really take and make hole in the mountain. But he said to Hashem, but me and myself, if we'll dig in from one side of the mountain, and Hashem will not go from the other side, it's going to be impossible. So when we dig in the line on one side of the mountain, Hashem is digging in from the other side of the mountain. So 1 point will meet each other. And that's what he said, Mehila. Now, do you remember what we do after Na'ila? What we doing after Na'ila?
Shofar?
Shofar. Very good. You know what is shofar? Could you define me what is shofar? Where do you take the shofar from?
From the oil of Agedat Yitzhak.
Yeah, but where do you take, if I want today to take shofar, where I take it from? From the animals, nachon? Let's say you go to the ram and you take the horn. If I take the horn, okay, from the aisle, from the ram, do I have shofar on my hand?
No, you have to clean it inside.
Yafeh. You know what we call it before it's shofar? Before it's shofar, it's a bone. Bone. It's a dry bone. To make it shofar, what should I do? To clean up. To clean up inside. You know what I do when I do this? Clean up inside?
Mehila.
Mehila! Mehila! I make the mehila. Now, do you remember the pasuk Mina Metzar Karatiya? When you blow the shofar, you blow it from the small opening or the big opening of the shofar? Small.
Opening.
You know what Hashem said to us? Listen to this and write it down to remember. פיתחו לי פיתחו של חודו של מחט ואני אפתח לכם פתח של אולם. I'll explain to you what does that mean. Do you know when you have a needle, by the top of the needle, what you have? A hole. He said, you make the small hole like a needle, I will make you a hole like a big hole. You know, I'll make the big one. You just make the small one. So when we blow the shofar, what I do the mehila, but from what? From the small spot. And you know what, Hashem? Do you remember the pasuk, the continuation? Min hametzar karati ya anani ma bamerhavya. Anani bamerhavya. You know what is merhav? Rahav. Wide. What is ya? Hashem. If the blower of the shofar take the small spot and he blow the shofar from the small, and Hashem will come from the other side with the Congo, bamerhavya. Hashem will come from the other side. That's the conclusion of the Na'ila. And that's what we said, you know, Na'ila, mehila. So now mehila is not just milah, it's not just a word. Mehila is action. You have to dig in. And we know when you pray really, you dig in. When you make the line between you and Hashem, remember, that's mehila. And remember, not physically, mentally. When you feel it, remember Tfilat Hannah? Why Tfilat Hannah was successful? She made a mehila between her and Hashem. When you make a mehila, Hashem will accept, and then we're ready for Hag Sukkot. Hag Sukkot, Be'ezrat Hashem, V'samachta b'chagecha, you know, we have simcha, and we'll see the Mashiach tzidkenu b'mera b'yamenu, amen.
Amen. Hazaku Baruch.
Baruch.